I'm going to be reviewing the New 52's Superboy.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
Now, Superboy is written by Scott Lobdell. He's a guy that's jumped around different titles. He's a veteran writer, been at Marvel and DC. I'm not really into DC's New 52. There's something about DC New 52 that doesn't really appeal to me. I know what it is. I thought the Marvel Now was a lot better. But there's something that appeals to me about this Superboy title, which is a random title, because I never ever cared about the ancillary titles of Superman. You know, I never really cared about your Supergirls and all that kind of stuff. But where Superboy really intrigues me is that it brings up an idea that's very central to Superman, which is empathy. Superman empathizes with everyone around him. He wants to save you. He wants to be almost your father, your God. You know, he wants to hold you and you're falling from a building, he'll come and save you. He's the safety blanket for humanity. So when you read the stories, you feel that, and he's always trying to help, and, you know, you can always rely on Superman. But what if Superman was apathetic? What if he had total apathy for everything going around him? Didn't notice, didn't care, had no concern. Was walking down the street, something was on fire, just walk past it. Not because he's evil, which is often the way they go with the superhero thing, that it's that evil that makes him fun. What if he just didn't know any better? He saw someone dying and was just like, oh, that person's just dying. As someone would look at a bug. If you walked past a cockroach dying on the floor, would you be like, oh my God, I need to save that cockroach? No, you'd be like, it's just dying.
I'd put
it's
it out
just
of his misery.
Yeah, put it out of misery, you just ignore it. You know, you ignore something on the street, you know, it is what it is. Superboy delves into this. Now, where Superboy starts off is that Superboy is a clone in a lab. Much like most of the Superboy stories in the DC universe always start with this kind of clone idea. There's a clone of Superman. The original Superboy was a young Clark Kent. Like, it's the idea of the young guy, and he was doing superhero acts. So how do you do that now? He's a clone. There's an organization called Nowhere, which is a real rip-off of S.H.I.E.L.D. But they have created this Superman clone. And there's a very dark and sinister figure called Harvest, who's got the DNA from both Superman and another human DNA, put it together, and made this clone. This clone's grown in a lab, away from everyone, away from human contact. I mean, all this clone can see is a tube in front of him with water, and he sees people going up to it, checking their paperwork and walking away. One day he's in the lab, and this woman walks in front of the screen, and she's pressing on the glass, and she's a worker in the lab, and she says to him, escape. Just escape now, because they're going to kill you. He explodes out the glass and proceeds to escape from the institution. Now, reading it, you think that this woman is saving him. She's like telling him to get out because she feels, this guy's being experimented on. He's a human being, even if he's a clone. What you realise is that they're putting him into the real world to see how he reacts to everything around him. So the next scenes are him at school. Like, this woman has helped him and got him into a school, kind of fostered him. But this group called Nowhere are keeping an eye on him and what they're doing. So a great scene of it is that he's chatting to this young girl, because he's Superboy, so he's like in his teenage years. He's walking down the street with this young girl from school, and he's kind of chatting her up, and he walks past the building, and this building's on fire, and this woman's in there screaming, save me, I'm gonna die. And he just walks past. Not because he's evil, because he doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
As it progresses, and his powers are telekinesis, he's got different powers to Superman. So he's got super strength, he can fly, but he's got telekinesis, things like that. So as he starts becoming Superboy and he gets the costume and all this kind of stuff, which is a black costume with a red insignia at the super insignia, it's very interesting to see what his decisions are, because he comes across the Teen Titans, you assume, oh, he's going to join the Teen Titans, and he fucking hates them. And he wants to beat their faces in because he thinks they're annoying. So it's fascinating to read from that perspective. And you watch, and then he comes across Supergirl, and Supergirl sees him and it's like, oh, you're disgusting, you're a clone. You're this abomination. Get the fuck away from him, and beats the shit out of him.
Wow.
So all these things put together are starting to piece together Superboy's mentality. He's saying, I hate superheroes, so I'm going to fucking get them. So over the first volume, you're following him, and you're like, oh, this guy's going to fucking, kill people and stuff. And that's just the way it is. They're making a big bad guy. Until you realise that it takes that one event that makes a man a superhero.
Yeah.
That one event. And he comes across that one event, and in being the saviour, that split moment when he's the saviour, he dies.
Mm-hmm.
Dead. Boom. Dead. Completely dead.
I'm sorry?
Yeah. And he dies. So now the question is, what do you do with a superhero book? What do you do with a Superboy book with no Superboy? Superboy just died. And then you find out why they made a clone and what the clone's for. And that is the great mystery of Superboy. And I implore you all to go and read it to find out what happens next.
I don't want to read it. I want you to tell me.
Yeah, I
about
was the same thing.
Can we be around a campfire? Please
So
tell us again.
This is exactly what this is.
Yeah, I really feel like more story time. Can we have like the nerd story time?
But I mean, seriously, I wouldn't say it's on the level of Avengers books and things like that at the moment, that really, or Thor. But it's just a fun story. It's got that mystery element, which you want to keep reading. And it kind of harkens back a little bit to 90s a bit. The story elements, which I don't mind. A lot of people hate 90s story elements. They think they get a bit too over the top. I don't mind it sometimes, if you do it in the right context. And they've balanced out big twists with interpersonal relationships really well. So check it out. If you love comic books, check this book out. I mean, other than Justice League Dark, there's not really many New 52 books I could really recommend. Batman, I mean, obviously is always a winner if you like Batman. But if you're looking for something new, try this or Justice League Dark, and you will not be disappointed.